he paid a crew. I don't know if you know this, but he paid a crew like $25K, I think, was it, to record it, and he sent it out, and no one accepted it either.
You help them figure what they want out of life, but you know everything it come with a price. Want to maximize your money and time, might have to take the uncommon.
Let's get into part 2, behind the marketing. This is pretty interesting topic. When I was looking into it and seeing what he was doing, it's pretty cool. And as you dive deeper to learn kind of how he got where he is at today, it is unique. But I wanted to talk about Andrew Schulz, who a comedian who's done it his way. Mm-hmm. He's changed how things are done and made some tweaks to how the industry was working, and it created a huge benefit for him, helped him grow, helped him scale when a lot of people wouldn't look at him. And on top of that, not only being a comedian sensation currently, right?
Yeah.
But at the same time, underrated entrepreneur with the things that he's doing.
Oh, for sure.
So,
I mean, didn't he sell out like back-to-back days in Canada?
Yeah, Scotiabank.
So
Scotiabank Arena.
And he also has, guys, if you haven't watched it, he also has a really good podcast with Joe Rogan that he released. So that's cool. But yeah, I mean, let's get into it. But before we do, we didn't mention this in the beginning. So if you look down on Nate's feet, we've gotten Nate into the shoe game. I forgot to mention this in the beginning, and he's wearing a pair of Dunks right now, which are really, really nice Dunks matching the shirt. But he has some newer kicks coming in here probably in the next couple episodes. So just keep an eye on his shoe game, because they're going to, trust me, they're going to get better and better on some of the things that are coming in. So I thought I had to point that out.
You know, it's opened up a whole new world to me. So I've always liked, growing up as a kid, I didn't get a whole lot of I get like one pair of shoes a year, right? That was it. Hopefully I didn't outgrow them. And so with that one pair of shoes, I never really got into it. And then when I got older and I started making my own money, I started buying shoes, but I always just liked a really nice, clean white shoe, right? That was my thing. And, you know, now that I started looking at the shoe game and I see all these different colorways and all this stuff going on in the Dunks, like this is my first pair of Nike Dunks. And I'm hooked, man. I got some cool ones coming. I'm excited.
Oh, he's got one pair that's for sure is really nice, and you guys will probably see it here. But yeah, let's get into Andrew.
I don't even know if I'll wear them. I might just sit them here.
Oh, you're gonna do like Caden, just only wear them around the house.
Yeah.
But yeah, let's get into Andrew, because I was looking at it. So he was killing it back in 2017 in New York and the comedy clubs down there. Mm-hmm. He was killing it, and he tried to he couldn't get into any network. Like, he couldn't get into any of these big Comedy Central. None of those big networks would take him. And he paid a crew. I don't know if you know this, but he paid a crew like $25K, I think, was it, to record it. And he sent it out, and no one accepted it either. So it's funny that you mean by the entrepreneur, because he started that struggle journey, right, where you had success locally in New York. You're trying to make a name for yourself, get bigger, but no one's giving you the chance or the opportunity. And he had to do it like you said, he had to do it his own way.
Yeah, it was interesting. And so he pitched his bit to the networks. Mm-hmm. They said no. So he paid the crew $25,000. He spent $25,000 to create it, pitched it to the networks again, handed it to him on a silver platter. They still said no. And unless he was willing to make changes to some stuff that they didn't feel was appropriate. And he basically said, not happening. So then he changed it. He didn't change what he was doing. He decided to go, I'm going to do this myself.
Exactly.
And he's like, I'm not going to silence comedy because one or two people might be offended, right? It's comedy. Like, exactly. What are we doing these days after trying to cancel comedy? So it was, I mad respect for him for saying that.
Oh, 100%.
You know, like, no, I'm good. I'll do it. But what he did, one thing that he did that was really cool was he realized, like, all right, I'm going to go. He'd already been doing stuff on YouTube, a lot of views. He decided to go to social. And when he went to social, he took this hour-long bit, right? So a lot of comedians were doing an hour-long skit. He cut his down into what he called monologues. So it'd be like a 17-minute monologue, 18-minute monologue, and then he was rolling those out, and then they just exploded.
Oh, yeah.
Millions of views, right?
So going back to it before we keep jumping, so you talked about his YouTube. So he said when those networks didn't accept him, like you said, he had some good followings on YouTube. He had some people who he had good traction. He's like, why do I go to one of these networks when my YouTube channel is a network? Mm-hmm. Like, let me create this. Let me make this my network. And he did, and he started pulling out, like you said, small bits. He started doing that. He had apparently crazy 1 minute, 1 sentence taglines on Instagram that were killing it for him. So he definitely changed. Well, I won't say he changed because there's probably people who are doing this with him, but he definitely took the approach of, I'm not going to let because I'm not part of one of these big networks, or I'm not being supported by these big crowds. I'm not going to let that stop me. I just got to figure out a way to do it my own way. And that's what he did.
So what he did is he did 100 bits and 100, he broke it down into 100 content pieces, and he's like, I now have 100 times to be seen versus one, right? As opposed to being just one episode on a network. So pretty unique. He decided, instead of being discouraged,
correct,
right? He had already started building an audience. He knew the value in building an audience. Instead of being discouraged, he was like, you know what? Screw you guys. You don't believe in me. I'm going to go do it myself. And sometimes when we talked about it in a previous podcast, sometimes you just got to go create it yourself.
Exactly.
You know, and that's exactly what he did, and he exploded. And watching him, and then just watching his last tour when he announced it, just selling out. I think he even came online and was like, hey, look, I'm going to come back to your city at some point. My tickets aren't worth the resale at $400. I'm not that funny, you know? So it's kind of, you know, even to have him come out, just be real. Like,
give some humor.
Humor.
No, but yeah, it did blow up. He sold the 1-2 in Canada, and yeah, like you said, his tour was going crazy. And one thing that Joe Rogan says in the podcast with him is like, you're just not a comedian. You are an entrepreneur. Yeah. Like you're not a person that goes up on stage, makes funny jokes, people laugh, and they walk, and the next day everything was like, you're an entrepreneur. You created a business out of this, and that's what he did, and that was really cool to see that, how from one thing, right? Because I bet in the beginning his whole thing was he never thought he was going to be a business owner. He never thought people were going to look at him as a successful entrepreneur. He always thought, I'm a comedian. Mm-hmm. People are going to look at me as a comedian. But from that what I would say wasn't I don't know if we call that a failure or not, but from not getting into those networks, but that, whatever we want to call that, led to the success he has today. So that's
is a fail forward?
Yeah, I don't know what to call that, because
what's the cliche line? Fail forward.
No, but it's cool. So comedy, not comedy, whatever you're doing, I mean, it's just keep going, and he showed it.
Yeah, and he's using his talent, right? His talent of comedy, his skills, and turning it into revenue.
Mm-hmm. And you said it. It's like
passion into a business.
And then you said it too. It's like he didn't change who he was to get into, like, because I bet if he would have changed, he could have said, you know what? Yeah, let's make all those changes you want to make. I want to be on your show, whatever it was, Comedy Central, whatever it was. I want to be on your show, so I'm going to make those changes. And maybe he made those changes, and everything would have dropped off, because people would have been like, that's not funny, or that's not you, or that's not what I want to see you do. But he said, you know what? I'm going to do my own. I'm going to continue doing what I do and what I know I'm good at, and I'm just going to move forward. And that's what he did. So I think he definitely picked the right route.
Yeah, and I think there's power behind knowing what you stand for and standing for it. I think people respect. They may not agree. There might be times where people don't, in today's day and age, they don't agree maybe with what you're saying, but they respect if you stand on it. Oh, yeah. Right? As opposed to cowering to someone else telling you what you should or should not say and everything else, right? So I think there's value in that. There's lesson in that. And another lesson inside of this I think is important that we haven't really touched on yet is the game is different. Online is different. It completely changes how you can build your business. Like the networks, he wanted the networks. Mm-hmm. And that's how you used to grow that side of your business or become a comedian. It was like, well, I need this. And he was like, you know what? They didn't want to give him a shot. So he's like, you know what? I'm going to go leverage all these free assets, that social media tools, and I'm going to go leverage all of that stuff, and I'm going to build it myself, right?
Exactly.
So I think you can really go out. You don't need to have your own TV show. You don't need to have your own, you don't have to have a big platform to start with. You've got the access. You just got to have the desire to do it, work, and get it done. Like, do the work and get it done, right?
Exactly. I mean, yeah, everybody gets stuck around there thinking they need these big networks to grow. Nowadays, you don't. Nowadays, there's so much.
Social media.
So many tools.
Yep.
So, shout out to him, man. Great job.
Hey, listen to this. Might have to take the uncommon advice.